Welcome back to the Self-Care Summit, where we are learning how to cope in the midst of global crisis. My name is Melanie Wood. My business is Soul Ease Massage and Mind Body Therapy, and I work in Elmira, New York. And I'm so happy that you guys are joining these videos, that you are enjoying the videos. I'm getting some feedback there. People are texting me, they're emailing me. So thank you for being out there. Thank you for connecting with us in this way. Today is day 11. It's video number 11. We've come a long way. And today I have my friend Jen as our guest. So hi, Jen. Can you say something about
Hi.
yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Melanie. I live in Ithaca, New York. Um, I am a mind body practitioner, embodiment coach, also health and nutritionist. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that I'm enjoying most about these videos is that everybody comes from a different background, even if we're all in the health and healing realm, and we all have our different perspectives and our different ways of helping people. And we also have our different ways of helping ourselves. So the first thing that I would ask you, Jen, is just what's going on? How are you being with this pandemic that's happening?
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm in a groove right now, but it's been a groove interrupted by a lot of ruts. I guess we'll put it that way. I was having a lot of anxiety at the beginning of this and learning how to ride that in a different way because clearly there's a lot going on and it's not necessarily unfounded, right? Not all something I've made up. Um, on a daily basis, I am paying a lot of attention to trying to move more slowly, speak more slowly, do one thing at a time. I'm rooting or grounding into what I consider grounding practices. And a lot of this is taking care of my body, taking care of my space, doing things outside. All of those are things that, I don't know that I'm spending more time, but I'm spending more attention and intention on those activities right now to help support me.
Yeah, and it really is an in the moment kind of a thing, isn't it? Like this morning, I think it took me a good 2 hours to do one task because I do feel a sense of being ungrounded, and it's coming and going. Sometimes I'm feeling really energetic and productive, and other times it's, yeah, one thing at a time and trying to get even a semblance of focus back. So that's what you just said really resonated with me. I'm happy that you said that. Like, focus right here, right now, do this.
Yeah.
It's
And I'll
good.
be fully transparent. I have a hard time walking my talk. I know the stuff to do. I'm good at helping people sort for themselves what the next thing in their life is that makes sense for them to self-support. It's hard, and I can figure it out for myself, but then to actually put it in action, I get a little lazy like everybody else, right? No shame in that. But one other thing that's been helping me is like, if not now, then when,
Uh,
right?
that's a
If
great.
I'm not gonna be here for myself right now, right? It's really time for me to show up for myself.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. If not now, then when? It's kind of in other interviews. It's been talked about that this is the gift of time for a lot of people that are considered essential and aren't going into their regular routine and their day jobs right now. So now's the time to figure out what our bodies and our mental states and our emotions, what we even do need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of things have fallen by the wayside, and yeah, I admit too, it's so easy to tell other people what to do. And then
Yeah.
when it comes to myself, all those things I'm really good at telling other people to do, that's probably what I need the most.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's follow our own advice.
Yeah, I've been really finding a lot of this like a mirror right now. And tell me if I'm going off on too much of a tangent, but I'm having the opposite of experience of time right now. So I have a day job in business, as well as seeing clients and doing my own healing and artwork. And I already worked remotely. Now our 400 plus person company is suddenly all working remotely. Most of those folks were not working at home before. So I was remote from them, and I'm used to my tools, but they're not used to being remote. They're not used to being remote from each other. Um, my work day has 2 or 3 times as much packed into it now. My
Wow.
schedule is busier, my work day is longer, and I'm doing a lot of holding space for people without the container of it being a healing session, which is really interesting, right? There's people
Right.
are anxious at work and other places too. People are anxious, but they didn't sign up for like, let's be self-reflective with Jen, right? They signed up for let's have a conversation about this business thing. But there's still a container that I feel like I want to support there. And so for me, where I've often struggled with a work-life balance, that has really amped up, right? And it's where I've had to say, like, okay, the rest was maybe a bit of a dress rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
If none of us are getting out of this without some wounding, right? Regardless of anything else, it's a stressful and scary time. There's nervous system implications, there's personal life implications, there's health implications, economic, all this stuff, right? So it's take a breath, right? It's time for boundaries. It's time for making sure we have space in our heads, taking care of our bodies, all of those things. So I'm trying to do all of that without it being extra to-dos. That's the challenge, right?
Right. Trying to pack more into your schedule so that you can say that you're taking care of yourself.
Right. Because that's not a gift of grace, right? That's trying to muscle through. And I don't think that, I think we're having a huge paradigm shift, and that's not where we're headed right now.
Yeah, that theme has come up before in some of the other videos, where that constant to-do list and having to be productive, and you're not taking care of yourself if you haven't been productive. That's definitely showing up a couple of times. And I'm so glad that you are on today, because a lot has been geared towards folks that either have been displaced or they're not working even though they're at home. So I automatically think about all those that have businesses, insurance companies, teachers, things like that, that are having to figure out their data, figure out how to set up a place in their sacred sanctuary of a home where business didn't belong before. And it's good advice to make wiggle room in your brain for taking care of your body while trying to figure all of that out. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And I think even folks who are suddenly finding themselves small business owners, independent practitioners, right? And your business model just completely changed. I mean, you personally work with people in person, right?
Yeah. With
A
touch.
lot of, right, with touch. So a lot of folks are having to figure out, is my business on pause, or am I doing a different type of work, or am I trying to pivot my business into the online space? What does that look like? Do I have the skills? Do I have the training? Do I have the technical aptitude? What does that mean for my income? Calling banks, calling credit. There's a lot to do for everybody, and I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed right now,
Yeah.
regardless of how much, quote unquote, time is in the day. Um, for me, it's been really essential, and I've scheduled it. I've said I was going to for a long time, and I did it. I've scheduled pauses, right? Like the therapist's 50-minute hour, right? Take 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, wash your hands in cold water, take a big breath in, stomp your feet on the ground, do a little reset. When you're starting to notice feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, move on to the next thing.
Yes. Yeah, so I consider you one of my friends, Jen, and I also consider you one of my mirrors and one of my teachers. We kind of go back and forth with each other. So I'm sitting here going, yeah, I should do that. When I've been sitting there trying to get something figured out and working on it for 2 hours and feeling almost pressure because there is an intensity and an urgency to figure out finances right now. I am one of those businesses that is on pause. I can't telepathically touch anybody. Well, maybe I can, but I can't get paid for that. And that just yeah, I found myself in the same boat. I would work 2-3 hours and I'd be like, man, my back hurts now and gotta go for a walk. I love the idea of setting a timer and allowing yourself, because that's what I would do normally in massage sessions. They are 30 minutes, they're 60 minutes. I have 15 to 30 minutes in between. So
it's intense, isn't it? I mean, my schedule, I'm on the phone. I've always been on the phone a lot for work. Now I'm on the phone more. And Monday of last week, I've lost all space and time, and I don't know what day that is now. It must have been the 23rd-ish. At the end of the day, I felt really stiff, and I realized I had literally been sitting in my chair for 7 hours straight.
7.
Working before, did some stuff, got down on the phone, 7 hours. I was like, you know what? That was really stupid. It was not a good idea. I didn't give myself a ton of grief over it, right? But I think I have gotten, I'll call it curiosity. I wouldn't call it flack, but curiosity at work when I first started scheduling 25-minute half hours and 50-minute hour meetings. Did you need to do that? That's a weird time to end a meeting. And I've been, oh, but I'm going to have to go to the bathroom at some point. And lots of excuses. And right now I'm just like,
Yep.
That's how my day works.
Yeah.
And I'm finding a new sense of like trusting, I don't even say I'm trusting myself more. That's been a big theme that I've worked with myself, is like feeling more trusting of myself and more accountable to myself. And right now I'm just sort of like, yeah, let's just go with it. Right? Feels right. Moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think that people are going to rely on just firm yeses, because there's so much out there that's wishy-washy and unknown right now, to get just, this is what's happening, this is what we're doing, so that somebody can just say, okay, is comforting right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not working directly necessarily with business. Well, maybe I am a little bit doing this, but I would want that if I was an employee. If I could put myself in shoes of people that are still working, if I was an employee, I would want the structure and yes, this is the time that the meeting is, for sanity comfort.
Yeah. Well, I would liken this, and so for the audience who doesn't know, Melanie is an amazing mind-body practitioner, as well as being an amazing massage therapist. And we did some yoga therapy training together. She was actually a teaching assistant when I first started my own yoga therapy practitioner training. And one of the things that we were taught in that training was about boundaries and container, and being really clear with that, not in an unkind way, right? But firm boundaries and structure helps people feel safe, right? Absolutely. If you have a routine, if you know what is permitted and not permitted, then you can show up fully in a safe space. And so I'm leaning on that.
Yes, thank you.
Personally and professionally right now.
Thank you for the props, and thank you for that reminder and validation. And it's really easy for me to go to my office and set the container, set the stage, set the boundaries, and to be professional, so to speak, to have that compassionate neutrality, that it is safe for folks, and to offer that back to myself in my own home, in my heart space, in my mind space, is one of the hardest things I've ever had to encounter. I mean, it's just so full of awarenesses, and then acceptance, and then falling back into, I'm not being a very good friend to myself right now, and then coming back and starting over again. Boundaries is huge right now. It's huge. We have forced boundaries, and then we have boundaries that we're setting for ourselves.
And I'm finding some of what I thought were my boundaries or my roles now don't make sense anymore.
Absolutely.
So again, for me, it's that pause, right? Of like, does this still make sense? Actually, no, I don't really care about that. That's not important. Or, for me, if I notice myself having feelings that I don't like in my body or in my emotions, I'm tense, or I feel anxious or afraid or upset or frustrated and irritated, it's a big sign for me. Irritation and anger, I associate with third chakra, and that's sense of self and other and boundaries and change, right? That's pretty up right now for me, many people, that it's a sign of like to pause and like, how can I be nicer to myself right now? How can I stop being so hard on myself? Like, I have to answer that first, because otherwise it's easy to be like, all these things are wrong. My house is messy and this person's being too noisy and no one's paying attention to me. And it's like, okay, pause.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not giving myself a breath in the kitchen by myself, or I'm being too hard on myself about what dinner has to be and look like, or the other things, right? And um, I'm not suggesting a throwing off of all rules and structure, although, hey, what better time to explore that than now, too, right? Lots of shifting.
Yeah, definitely. And we're talking, from an individual perspective, the standpoint of what are my boundaries and what is my identity in this, and how do I be in this? But there are folks out there that also have spouses and children that are constantly pressing buttons and infringing on boundaries because they're in the same state of trying to claim what their identity is and what their new role is in all of this too. So having that compassionate understanding that there's a lot of I-ism happening in everybody, including the people that you're stuck in the house with.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have any specific, you mentioned breath and you mentioned, setting up that container for yourself. Do you have any other specific techniques maybe along the lines of some of the embodiment that you're coaching or nutrition that you can share with folks to help them cope and get by at a time like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about body first. I mean, I think one of the most challenging things, I think, and it's been challenging for me, and it still is as my life shifts over time and as my responses shift, is noticing when I might be in a triggered or emotionally elevated state, to be able to do anything about it, right? Because, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I can be a runaway freight train, right? If I'm a little anxious from work and someone's making noise upstairs and this is happening, and then someone is whining and someone else needs something and I was going to do this other thing and I haven't had a chance to go to the bathroom, right? Right? Noticing that that's happening, right? And this is when I come back to things like it's almost like if you have like an extra little eye right here that can pay attention to, like, is my body tight? Am I having an uncomfortable emotion? There's probably some noise upstairs you can hear right now, right?
Or is that your breath, Jen? Is that your shirt? I was like, what is that?
I think it's a table or a chair sliding across the floor upstairs.
Jen has a little one upstairs.
Yeah, she's not by herself. She's with my husband. It's a free for all over here. No, noticing things like muscle tension, heart rate, your breathing. Just if you're like, for me, I finally realized when I'm feeling uncomfortable and I want to make it everyone else's problem, right? That someone didn't speak to me in the right way, or they ate the last of the cheddar, right? That's just, because I don't have to let go of that, right? It's hard for me to let go of my point sometimes. So I can just be like, okay, someone ate the last of the cheddar, put it there, having a feeling, right? Let's just breathe with this for a second. And then I get to make a conscious choice on the other side of it of if I care about the damn cheese, part of my language, right? And so for me in that moment, I noticed something was going on. One thing that for me is really important, that I've noticed, and it's going to be different for everyone, is to get as removed from a situation as possible. This doesn't even necessarily mean from other people, but I've noticed recently that auditory stimulation is overwhelming to me. So sometimes if there's a lot of background noise happening, right, I can just walk down the hall, no problem, right? Other times, if multiple people are talking to me at the same time and I'm trying to do something, I can feel this like tidal wave of overwhelm. I have to actually say, hey, I need to call time for a second. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And it took me literally years to realize that I could just speak what was happening without having analyzed and figured out the solution. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to step away. Not everyone's going to want to hear that, but once you say it, it's really much easier to separate yourself. So first of all, separating from stimulus. Then I like to do something to connect with my body. Some easy things you can even do when other people are around if you want to be kind of secret about it. Washing your hands in cold water. Rub your hands on your legs. You can't see, but what I'm doing is this, just like you might put your hands down. If your hands were wet, wash your hands in cold water, rub them on your thighs, right? Dry your hands up on your thighs. Pat your feet on the ground. Maybe give your hips a little wiggle. Do something to get all of that emotional tidal wave stuff. Get back into your body, feeling back into your body. Take a breath in through your nose. Let it out. Do it a couple times. That's really going to decompress your nervous system. So to me, that's the biggest thing is like separate, get back in your body, and then you can kind of slow down and regroup. And usually at the point that I've done this, and this literally will take like 10 seconds, it doesn't have to be a whole thing. Just in terms of these little pauses throughout the day. Even if you're by yourself, you're reading Facebook, whatever, you're getting overwhelmed, right, by all the news that's coming on. Put away the computer for 1 second, move away, rub your hands together, rub them on your legs, shake. Shaking is really good for your nervous system. So that's huge. I would say, if nothing else, incorporating some of that. You could go nuts with like playing outside in the dirt and all sorts of other grounding activities, but getting into your body, somehow giving yourself just enough sensory stimulation and enough nervous system calm down is big. Extended exhales versus inhales is also going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and help you maintain.
Yeah, so I love that these techniques still allow you to have a reaction. They're still allowing you to feel the reaction that's happening, but it's removing you from the reaction just enough so that you can respond and be clearer in your mind about what next step there is to take or what you need the most to moving forward into the seconds that are going to follow that.
Right. Yeah, good point, actually, because like I know one thing that's been challenging in my life is like, okay, I can find my center when I'm sitting alone in a room on a mat with other people, well, I guess alone, whatever, in a different space. How do I stay connected to myself while I'm with other people who may or may not embrace this process and may or may not be being easy to be around for me? And some of this stuff allows me to come back to me so I can manage that. And like, so my cheese example, right? Which by the way, no one did eat all the cheddar without asking, but if they did, I probably would be pretty upset right now. It's hard to get cheese, right? And I was going to save that for
We are all allowed our thing. That's okay.
I've discovered we're out of cheese and I'm like going to flip out and I do my recentering, and it's, you made a good point, Melanie. And so I just want to kind of reiterate and expand on it. It's not about that wasn't a problem or that I'm not upset. I'm still allowed to be upset and mad. But in the moment, if I explode at someone about cheese, all that's going to happen is we're going to have a fight. Now everyone's up here. That doesn't help anything, right? But if I can come back to center and figure out like, all right, what's really happening is that I feel out of control because I can't go to the store and get what I want. And I'm used to being able to do what I want, when I want, where I want it. And right now I have to stop and think about a lot of different things to go get cheddar, and I feel vulnerable, right? Or maybe I feel disrespected because everyone knows I like cheddar, but someone ate the last of it. How mean, right? Now I can see that a little more clearly and decide, do I want to be in communication with someone about this or not? And actually, as I say those two scenarios, I might have just knowing myself, I might have originally been upset that I was disrespected about the cheddar, and realize actually it's because I feel vulnerable and scared. And what a different message to bring to someone. It's like, you know what, I just had a little bit of a panic attack because we were out of cheddar and I felt really mad. And then I realized I'm scared shitless. Can I have a hug? Right? What a different conversation in our family and in ourselves. You asked also about health, and I think that's really important right now, right? Because what I did when I was making sure I had enough groceries so that I didn't have to go out again was stock up on things. I'm really big on eating medicine. And so does that mean I don't eat cookies? No. Does it mean I don't eat mozzarella sticks? No. I don't mindlessly blow through 4 boxes of mozzarella sticks. I might mindfully do it, right? And full choice, right? I know what this is getting me. You know, and I'm not, for folks who have worked with me as a nutritionist, I'm actually not into restriction of things, although over time, you know, I'm into adding things in that'll support your body. And over time, actually, you stop craving things that aren't healthy for you. Or as much. Like my sugar cravings have gone way down. I still love sugar. I don't want as much processed kind of sugar, but I still like it, and there's nothing wrong with it. But so some of the kinds of things that I've been doing is like working what I would call the medicinal culinary spices into everything I'm cooking. So these are things like oregano, thyme, basil, cumin, turmeric. Turmeric has a strong flavor. Depending on what you're cooking, different things work, right? Garlic. You can go overboard with some of this stuff. I ended up with a garlic sensitivity one year when we grew garlic, and I was putting like 4 cloves of garlic in absolutely everything I cooked. I couldn't eat it for a year. I was getting rashes. It was bad. So you can go overboard. But thyme especially has an affinity for the respiratory system. So we're not talking about levels of things that are true medicinal levels. Like if someone was going to treat you as an herbalist and give you oregano medicinally, they're going to give you more than you're ever going to put in your spaghetti sauce. But continuing to put little bits of this stuff in all the time does increase your level of health. Mushrooms are good. I saw a cool poster the other day that was like, every day, try to eat as many colored vegetables as you can, the bright colors, leafy greens, and sulfurs. And sulfurs would be things like onions, garlic, the cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower. So I've been thinking about things like, what are things that pack the most nutrition in, and medicinal things. When I've been cooking, that's been huge. I've been drinking a lot of more water, more teas, more coffee. That's not medicinal, but it's helping me stay cheery.
Mental health medicinal.
Mental health medicinal. You know, and if you have pre-existing health conditions, though, it can be easy to go overboard on some of the mass market recommendations. You know, like there are medicinal mushrooms in like everything now. You can buy chocolate with reishi and coffee with reishi and tea with chaga, all this stuff, right? Elderberry syrup, right? Wonderful for the flu. Well, there's been some studies and publicity about whether or not with this current viral situation, elderberry might not be the right choice once you start having symptoms. So, and then especially if you have pre-existing health conditions, it's good to maybe have a conversation with someone about what is good and what isn't, because a lot of the things that support your immune system when something acute should not be taken if you have an autoimmune condition. So it's something to be aware of, because you can end up pushing yourself into like an autoimmune flare if you have too much of something like astragalus or some of the other echinacea, some of the go-tos that are generally touted out there.
That's all really interesting, because I've had people in my life that came to me and they're like, I'm not a nutritionist. I have had, you know, I've worked with you, Jen, and I've worked with other people to help my Lyme symptoms get under control and to not have flares. And so folks know that I have that experience, and they're like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And I'm like, we don't actually know. There isn't a lot of research about this particular virus right now. Cramming all of those things into your body it's probably not going to be beneficial. And
yeah,
I can't give them true advice because I don't have the credentials for that. But elderberry was one of those things. And I saw that article too, or there might have been a few articles about that. And I'm like, wow, all those things that we think that we can do to support ourselves, it really does have to be taken into consideration what's happening now with this particular virus. So
it's a fine line. I think some of the challenges with the symptoms are actually come from an aggressive immune response, right? So that isn't a situation where you want to push the immune response. You end up with a cytokine storm and it's overwhelming to your body. Mm-hmm. What I am personally doing in the way of supplementation for myself, so I'm doing my medicinal culinary stuff. This is really gentle, supportive to your body. It helps keep your bowels moving regularly, all of that stuff. I'm taking vitamin D. I feel like hands down, that's fine for most people. I personally am taking a B complex with zinc in it that helps me with a zinc processing issue that I have, which is important for your immune system. We're having a little bit of elderberry here and there, simply actually because it's yummy. And so sometimes I have to mix it with other things to get certain 3-year-olds to take what I'm trying to give them. But that's really about it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing big doses of things. I'm not proactively doing elderberry every day and astragalus and this and that and the other thing. It's really like I'm trying to keep it low key, calm down any existing inflammation, right? And gently support my immune system without pushing it, if that makes sense. So.
I'm seeing a lot out there about vitamin C as well. And a lot of friends are like, yeah, we made sure we got our emergency and we got our vitamin C. Have you read anything counterproductive in terms of vitamin C?
Not particularly, and I think there has been some research, especially on intravenous vitamin C with massive doses, and that can be really helpful with illnesses, with surgery recovery and things like that. Dr. Andrew Reel is a proponent of that, as well as some of the other physicians. I personally find that for me, vitamin C causes some weird symptoms as a result of I had Lyme for a while and some other things that I've never been clear if it's a detox reaction or a die-off reaction. So for myself, I don't take vitamin C supplementation. If I were to become ill with coronavirus, COVID-19, I would probably do a little more research and consider it. And we're doing vitamin C heavy foods right now, right? I'm focusing on that, but I'm not personally taking the tablets.
Yeah. So just keeping in mind that it's going to be a unique situation for everybody and what they have going on in their own inner workings, just like with any other kind of medical condition. You have to consult the experts that you trust and follow those guidance that's individual for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think too, I know we're probably running out of time, but I think it's an interesting time too, right? Because a lot of our medical professionals are going to be, if not already are, focused on the COVID-19 situation. I'll say this weekend we had a situation where I put a call into my pediatrician about something unrelated. We had an engorged dick. I wanted to know what the current CDC recommendations were with a tick bite on my toddler, right? Because it changes all the time, whether you're supposed to prophylactically treat or not. And I had a hard time getting a call back because they're swamped. They're swamped with people calling, should I be tested, should I not be tested? Is this the flu? What's going on, right? Kids get sick all the time. Doesn't mean it's COVID-19, but it could be. And my husband and I had a conversation that was like, medical care in the United States is changing right now. It may be temporary, but I realized that I actually feel pretty lucky for my education that I felt like, you know what, I know things I can do for her while I wait for the doctor to call back and see what we think, because I have a lot of experience working with Lyme, with clients and with myself, and I happen to have random stuff sitting around. And I think that I would feel a little lost about stuff if that wasn't the case. So, this is a good time to be consulting with holistic health professionals if you're having trouble. It's not a substitute for your medical practitioner. It's not a substitute for going to the ER or urgent care, right? But in terms of supporting and maintaining health and things like that, it's a good time to reach out.
Yes. Thank you for sharing all those little tidbits. I love that it can stay simple. It really can stay simple. And then if you happen to get symptoms, treat them as they come. We don't have to necessarily pre-treat our symptoms. Before we started recording, Jen, you mentioned that you were doing a meditation weekly. Do you want to share anything about that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, like if I always have a hard time saying what I do, because I think one of the things I really help people with is moving forward in life under their own guidance in the unknown. So it's working in what I will call a pause or a space in between, or creating a space in between, kind of metaphysically, conceptually. That's a little bit esoteric, but it's one of the spaces I really enjoy helping to open up. I think there's a lot of gifts in there. And when all this started a few weeks ago, I was finding that I suddenly have all this privacy in my house. I won't call it quiet time or extra time or space, but it's privacy or it's isolation or whatever you want to call it. And I really want to sit in quiet in connection with other people. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing group meditations on Wednesday night. So that's what I'm offering. I'm holding them by Zoom. People can call in. They can come in on their video like this if they want to be seen. The first week I did an actual guided visualization meditation. Last week was really noticing body and breath and sitting quietly together. And so I have a Facebook group where I literally just started the group so that people can join that and find out more about the meditations I'll be posting in there, called Pause in Connection, right? We've had a pause in our connection or in the way we're connecting with people. And also we can pause in connection with each other. So a nice little play on words there. I feel like a smarty pants on that one. But, I think I often think of myself as an introvert, and I'm not. I'm an over busy, sensitive extrovert. And when I'm over busy, I isolate. But actually being forced to do that has me realizing like I miss my peeps and I miss that connection. Yeah. And I think we need to find ways to stay connected to each other right now and to ourselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'll make sure that I put a link to that group in all of the information that we share.
Thank you.
Yes. If folks want to ask you questions about embodiment or nutrition, are you open to them contacting you?
Absolutely. So if you tag me on Facebook when you post this, they can send me a Facebook message. I also can, if it's okay, I can share my email address and people can feel free to send me an email. So it's jen@allotropic.com. So it's JEN at ALLOT as in Tom, ROP as in Paul, IC.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So I'm asking this question at the end for everybody. If you could imagine that you were giving a message to the entire world right now and the community as a whole, what would that message be?
Let's settle that for a second. It's stay true to yourself. I think that's the biggest gift we can give ourselves and each other and the global community right now.
Stay true.
I really do.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on here, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
You've had so many good little tidbits to share with us. I love that. I took some notes. You might have seen me looking down. I was taking notes myself. So thank you very much for that. And yes, so this was video number 11 of the Self-Care Summit. Stay tuned tomorrow for video number 12. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.